You know, it's a tough day in Surfside, Florida. It's a somber day as rescue efforts there shift to a recovery operation from a rescue operation 2 weeks after the tragic condo building collapsed. With as many as 86 people still unaccounted for, officials say there is little chance of finding survivors. Search crews will no longer be using listening devices and dogs when sifting through the rubble. 54 people have already been confirmed dead. Laura Podesta reports.
A moment of silence and prayer yesterday evening at the site of the Champlain Towers building collapse in Surfside, Florida. First responders lined the rubble in a poignant display of the effort that went into searching for survivors. Their mission has now shifted.
It is with deep, profound sadness that this afternoon I'm able to share that we made the extremely difficult decision to transition from Operation Search and Rescue to recovery.
Officials say the number of confirmed deaths tops 50. More than 80 are potentially still unaccounted for.
After all the facts, all the factors, we've decided, based on everything that's been given to us, that there are no live victims.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says investigators are trying to figure out if what brought the building down could also topple others in South Florida or elsewhere.
Is it something that buildings of that age that would have implications beyond that?
With so many questions unanswered, some news of progress. 16-year-old Devin Gonzalez, who suffered fractured ribs and a broken leg when she was rescued moments after the collapse, is taking her first steps with the help of a walker. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
So Brooke Shafer from our Miami station is joining us again this morning to talk more about what's going on there. So Brooke, rescue crews had been kind of looking for spaces in the rubble where maybe people might have been trapped and they could maybe survive for a period of time, but they say that those efforts were not as successful as they had hoped anyhow, and it has a little bit to do with the way the building came down that's making it difficult to find survivors. Why is that?
Well, yeah, the way that the building came down, like you said, Anne-Marie, was really a challenge here for these search and rescue teams. As you look at the video, especially in the first few days, you noticed that it sort of came down as a pancake. That's how officials were calling it, at least. And so there were layers upon layers of concrete. And even though you might have looked at this video and said, okay, well then search teams rather can just take a crane and they can go layer by layer. They can go floor by floor. Unfortunately, that wasn't really the case. They said that there were layers of concrete, but then there was also pulverized concrete underneath. And also, given the amount of people, especially initially, that were unaccounted for, that number was about 150 reportedly unaccounted for. So these teams had to be incredibly delicate as they were going through all of this debris. And, it's a long process. At this point, we are exactly 2 weeks since this building came down. And a difficult decision, really, moving forward. The mayor here said, she announced it with deep, profound sadness. They had hoped for at least maybe a small miracle here in Surfside. I think we'd all hoped for that to some degree. And at this point now, it's turned into a recovery operation. And even still, though, that is difficult to hear, knowing that we've been told reportedly 80-plus people are still unaccounted for as of this morning.
Yeah, that must have been tough for the mayor to deliver. We saw her kind of choking up during the earlier press conference yesterday. It's not easy to talk about, just the number of lives lost. We know that survivors of the building collapse, they were given a chance to visit the site yesterday. Do we know what went on during that visit?
Well, yeah, they got a chance to come to the site and I think really take it all in. It's really difficult to process and understand the magnitude of a catastrophe like this unless you really see it firsthand. And so they got a chance to come out here and see it. And no doubt they were thankful and grateful to be alive. I mean, you have to assume that they are feeling pretty grateful right now, but even still a long road ahead for those survivors because, you know, they lost their homes, their family mementos. And so, you know, even though they're grateful and lucky to be alive, there is still that weight of how do they move forward, and a long road ahead really for all of them. I will say as well, though, a couple of days ago at this point, some families of the victims as well also got to come out to the site and really see firsthand the heroic efforts that are being done to find their loved ones. Again, I think it's something that is really difficult for a lot of people to process. And even as we've been saying and showing this video, really the video does not do it justice. So I think it's helpful for all of these people to be able to come out here and really see the site for themselves.
So 54 victims recovered from the collapse, but only 33 of them have been identified. And even when we talk about those who are unaccounted for, we don't say missing, we say unaccounted for. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges when it comes to identifying the victims?
Yeah, well, a big difficulty here is that in this building, there were reportedly people who were here from out of town or people who had family who maybe live out of the country. And so there's a little bit of a challenge there for officials to get a hold of next of kin and really find people that can confirm this body that they found in the rubble. And so it is a long process, but we do know that they, from day one, have been taking DNA samples from family members. They did that over at the family reunification site really from the beginning here, and they're using those DNA samples to then match it to a body. So a long process and definitely another challenge out here in Surfside.
Yeah, certainly tough work. Brooke Shafer, thank you so much.